We're going to have a lovely little conversation about Disney because, not to say, I have a disdain for the company, but I wanted to shine a little brief light on some of the things that get glossed over or were entirely glossed over, or not really, but and the really the grim reality of some of the films that they've given us over the years, as well as the the truth, the grim reality, and really the problem with painting it as it's this huge, like, fairy tale esque moment, especially when it's not. So today we're gonna get into why, not only why, but also some of the things, some of the things and the stories that's happened to, where it's been sort of a little bit infantilized and watered down to be more appropriate, but I don't think they should be. Like, I don't think they should be, because it's extremely important to, I think, display things in their full complexity so that way people can make the decision for themselves as to how they perceive it, if that makes sense. Now, Pocahontas. Yes, she was actually 14. She did go with John Smith, and she died of a disease when she was, I think, 27. And the I wouldn't say there's a problem necessarily with this, because we get songs like "Colors of the Wind" from Pocahontas, which I think is a beautiful, beautiful song. It's just more of, we want to understand her in her entirety, because in the movie she looks a little bit older, but in actuality she's much smaller. She's 14. She's a young girl experiencing all these things for the first time, along with still having to deal with changes going on in her body. Like, it's just a lot that goes on, and I think making it into a sort of fairy tale romance kind of, yes, it does more for the kids, but the complexities of it is so much more diverse. Like, there's so many different complexities that are going on at the same time that these events are going on. So Pocahontas is actually a real person, and you know one better of her, because she was 14. She shouldn't have to be doing that, but she did actually leave with John Smith, and things did actually change. Now, for Anastasia Romanoff, she was also based on a real person. And not only was she based on a real person, but unfortunately, her counterpart, who is a real person, did not make it out of that basement alive, unfortunately, because it was Anastasia and, her other three other sisters, and, her parents and stuff like that. But she ended up not making it out, because it was an assassination. It was politics involved and a bunch of other things. So literally she was just caught in the crossfires of things entirely out of her capability of understanding, which is so sad, but it is the truth of the situation. And I think this is the one that's, like, I'm on the fence about with Disney about doing that with, because while yes, that is a very disheartening thing to hear, trying to rewrite the narrative surrounding it is just as harmful, because then it entirely takes away from the purpose of acknowledging the reality of it. Like, I think once you acknowledge the reality of it, you can see it for its purpose and better understand and apply it to different areas throughout life. Like, The Little Mermaid. This one is not based on a person, but it is based off of a story from the Grimm Brothers' tales and a bunch of other things across various different points in history. But yes, Vanessa's trick actually does work, and Eric does marry her, because Ariel can't speak, so she has no real way of no real way of being capable of forming a connection that is outside of platonic with Eric. He stays stuck at the viewpoint of she's just a girl who can't talk, who we helped one day on the shore. And eventually she turns to seafoam after this happens. She does get the chance to, I don't want to say reincarnate, but she does get the chance to come back and, go to the afterlife, because in the storybook version, she cannot, because she's a mermaid. So she doesn't really have an afterlife to go to. But she does get the chance to, I don't want to say repent because that's such an intense word, but she does get the chance to repent and then go to the afterlife through helping other people in that transition as well, which I think is a really touching touch. And I think in the live action one with Halle Bailey in it, I love that they included um, a reprise to the second part of your world, because specifically it acknowledges that portion of the story where after once Ariel's, realized that Eric's not going to see her this way, it's a just heartbreaking thing. So I truly believe that is an important detail that is missed in the first part, which is the original one, 1990, I can't remember, 6 version. But the one with Halle Bailey, I do commend them for that, because that is a gem not most people know about because of the original version. Now, Cinderella, it gets a little dark. The stepsisters is still mean to her, and there's that whole thing, but they're probably even worse. Aside from the lentils and the peas, they pull at her, cut her, like they do so many mean, nasty things to her, and I'm just like, reading it, just like, girl, stand up, like that's your dad house. If you don't, but at the same time, kind of want to be understanding, like, okay. And in the end, what actually happens is after they try to, instead of the shoe not fitting, they literally do like severe grievous bodily modifications to try and fit the shoe, and it still doesn't work. And after that, when they're at Cinderella's wedding, um the birds at the wedding actually attack her stepsisters, and they pluck the stepsisters' eyeballs out at her wedding while she's going off way into the sunset. And I think that's a detail that they don't really put in there, which, I can't blame them for it because it's children's movies. Now, this one is a hot topic because not many people know about this one. In the book version, some of the stuff is the same as the movie. The only difference is it is not a prince who finds Ariel, it's her father who doesn't know that that's his daughter after years and years and years. And then while she's asleep, pretty much, he R-words her while she's sleeping, and he does it so much to the point where she actually gets pregnant with twins. And by the time, the twins are fully developed and everything and labor's almost there, that's actually what wakes her up. The pain of her twin children coming into the world are what wake her up from the spell, not childbirth at all. Or the childbirth did, but not the true love's kiss. That's not at all what happens. She does get pricked, but it's way morbid and darker than that. And I think Rapunzel's the next one too, so that one's even more darker. Actually, it was Mulan. I'm sorry, I lied. Mulan was actually at war for 12 years. It wasn't, in the movie, it's probably depicted as like a couple months, less than a year, but it was actually 12 very long years. And I think the fact that that's not emphasized time-wise, movies, that whole thing. But also I think it plays into the part of the strength and vitality that the poem that resonates or Mulan is based off of, because the entire text scripture that the character Mulan is based off of is a poem meant to represent vitality, strength, and honor. And I think that's an amazing, beautiful thing. And I think that her decision to not try and earn this honor position after 12 years of having to pretend to be a man to fight in a war because she didn't want her father to do it, you understand her decision more, because it's like, you know what? If I had to spend 12 years to try and be a man around men all the time, constantly, I just want to be left alone for that. And you know what? Can you blame her? Can you blame her? Now, this one is a little bit darker because while it's not like, oh, Rapunzel's stolen as a baby. No, 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 no. Rapunzel's father, when Rapunzel's mother was pregnant, Rapunzel's father had to go into the garden of the lady next door, who happened to be Mother Gothel, because, pregnancy cravings, that whole thing. So the dad was just literally trying to get some stuff for his wife's cravings. And granted, you shouldn't probably steal it from your neighbor's yard, because you don't know this lady at all, what she's capable of. And that was how he found out. So he literally fucked around and found out when it came to this particular instance. And so in exchange for not turning him into whatever weird freaky animal, I think it was a frog or something, I can't remember, but in exchange for not doing that, she took the baby. And when Rapunzel was 12, she took Rapunzel, locked her up in a tower, and then fast forward, she's still in that tower, so she's 18, and then she meets the prince, and they start having this grievous love affair where they're sneaking in and out, and she catches them having this affair. And here's where the story gets twisted, because instead of just taking her or killing him, what she does is, like in this picture, she cuts off all her hair, kicks her out of the tower. Remind you, Rapunzel's pregnant during all this is going on, with twins, by the way. So, out of the castle, Rapunzel has to find somewhere to, survive and care for her children, and she does. She pushes the prince out of the window of the tower, and he falls into a bush of rose thorns. Whoa, that was hard for me to say. I don't know why, but it was. And he loses his eyesight, and he spends forever wandering around looking for her. And just purely by chance, they happen to run into each other, and he recognizes her voice, and they're like having this joyous reunion, and she starts crying, and her teardrops land in his eyes, and he can now see, and boom, happily ever after. Like, that lady was nuts, but that is truly the darkness behind that one for Rapunzel. Now, this one blew me for a surprise, because I did not know this, because I had a couple in mind already that I knew of to start with, but for Jasmine, this one blew me away. So actually, she's the opposite of her film portrayal in both renditions. She, quite frankly, when I say the opposite, I mean the exact opposite. In the film portrayal, she is ambitious, she's free thinking, she's independent and free spirited. In the original text that she's based off of, she's quite literally the opposite. She's actually arranged to be married to somebody else already, like the movie, but she's not opposing to it. She's more like, okay, it's something I'll do because I have to do to honor my family, kind of thing. And then the people in their village, they all talk of her beauty. They all speak about how beautiful Jasmine is, and how catching a sight of her is just such a huge, beautiful thing. So Aladdin decides to take it upon himself to go to the castle, and he spies on her while she's bathing. Then he goes to the genie, and he makes a wish to be with Jasmine, to be married. Like, it's literally like Joe from You with the genie in his hands. And I get why they wouldn't paint it that way, but at the same time, transparency is key. I feel like the more transparent it is, the better, because then it leaves the opportunity for everybody to have an opinion on it in their own specific way. It leads to a more nuanced conversation about some darker themes, like stalking and doing things like that. Like, it opens the floodgates for people to actually be able to form their own interpretations on pieces of media, because in a way, media is a form of art. Films, TV shows, those are art forms. While it may not be as direct or as revolutionary sometimes, because there are pieces of film that are definitely groundbreaking and game changing, it may not be as directly in a way as art, but like a physical painting. When I say art, because art is art to me, but physical medias like paintings and things like that, people often differentiate the two, when in reality they're one and the same. It's just one is a motion portrayal of the other, if that makes sense. Like, you get to see certain things in a real life time kind of thing, as compared to having to analyze different individual pieces of an image that you are seeing in front of you. And I think the acknowledgement of that is key, but also the appreciation of that in all of its forms, whether it be complex or not, is just as much of a key than anything. Like you take away the ability for people to express their own individuality by trying to specifically push one narrative. And I will continue to say that, because when you try and push one narrative, the narrative can only fit a certain demographic of people for probably a certain amount of time, or for a certain phase of reality in life. There are too many factors that are at play that are constantly moving within everybody's lives, that is so it's constricting to conform things to one narrative, as compared to literally just accepting that we are all humans experiencing things in different times, at different rates, at different paces, at different points in life. And I think that the sooner we acknowledge that, the better. And really, really, really want to emphasize that. I do, because it's something that I've noticed we shame a lot of people who have their own individuality for, and I don't like that, because no, even physically, no human beings. Sometimes you have like twins and doppelgangers and things like that, but even now, as physical humans, no two beings are exactly the same. Their brain patterns aren't going to be the same. The way their brain functions aren't going to be the same. Like, it's extremely rare and almost impossible for everything to always be the exact copy and the exact same of everything. And the sooner we kind of adapt that ideology, the better, because I think a lot of people also mistake the individuality part for something being wrong with them, and that's just not the case. It's just the acknowledgement that we're humans in different forms across various different bodies of various different items that are out of our control. And I think the external and the differences shouldn't be something that is deterrent, or a cause, or a substantial fact rooted in anything, because it can literally happen to anybody at anywhere, any given point in time. You have plastic surgery where you can change your own perspective, change how you look, and things like that. So I think to be rooted in something like that is just not really substantial long term, or generally just growth wise, it's not substantial, because it's not a real ideology to have. I'm rambling now, but anyways, thank you for watching this video. I really want to talk about this because it's something that's important to me. Like, I was literally, before I made this, I was thinking about this. I was like, oh my God, how many films have like taken the darkness of a story and then like I wouldn't say tried, and then taken out bits and pieces of it, whether it be for film purposes, for purposes of making it more child appropriate. There's different amounts of reasons that it could be appropriate and inappropriate, but I think acknowledging the fact that there is a darker undertone allows people to truly interpret it the way it's meant to be in their own individual way. Because some people may see different, some people don't, but I think acknowledging the fact that there is a grim reality behind it, regardless of whether or not it's accurately presented or not, like the acknowledgement of, yeah, this film was great, but this is actually what it was like. I think it really, really kind of sets the tone and paints a picture of the authenticity is key thing. So if you stayed this long to hear all that rant and watch this, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this video, and comment, subscribe, whatever, whoever's watching this, because you never know who's watching. And yeah, thank you.